We are in a moral and spiritual crisis in America, and the only solution is a long and painful one that will not be solved at the ballot box. Should a Christian vote for Donald Trump? Is it sinful to vote for Donald Trump? These are questions we want to explore today, and we want to really focus in on answering what is the obligation of Christians as we see the hype and the obsession with the presidential election. How do we navigate that? First, I want to make the point that simply, look, this is a matter of conscience. This is going to offend people on both sides. But look at, we obviously want just men who fear God, who rule in the fear of God. But what happens when that's not an option? Obviously, voting for Kamala Harris is wicked. You know, commie, not black Harris, and fake war vet Waltz, or tampon Tim, whatever you want to call them, the Democrats, all right, they're the most radical anti-Christian, would be the most radical anti-Christian administration we've ever seen in our nation's history. That's sinful. But you cannot say it's sinful to vote for Donald Trump, given that he is the better option clearly between the two. The most aggressively pro-abortion, pro-homosexual, anti-Christian forces and organizations in this country are aligned against Trump. Okay, that means something. So the options before you are you can vote for Trump, recognizing he's going to do less harm, or you can vote for a third party that more closely reflects your values as a protest vote. Both are reasonable. This is an area of personal conviction, of prudential assessment of the battlefield and what the consequences of our actions will be. So to me, it's not a question of whether the candidate is pure enough. We're going to have a president who's not going to be pure in a lot of areas. This is true of the best of men in one sense, but certainly it's true given the political landscape in America. But the question to me, that's the deeper question, is the candidate I'm going to support opposed to and not bought by the political establishment? Because that is what we are at war with right now, is the corrupt political establishment, i.e. the swamp. And so as someone who was a big Trump supporter in 2020, honestly, I'm not sure about Trump right now. I'm not sure how I land on that question. And ultimately, the decision maker for me is going to be, is Trump genuinely fighting and resisting this political establishment, or have they gotten their hooks into him, and has he become a part of that system? And I'm seeing some signs that are very disturbing. So right now, I'm honestly undecided. Trump has to earn my vote. And this is an important point I want to make. Whether you're voting for Trump or whether you're not voting for Trump, the bottom line is we need to be able to influence him. Trump can be influenced, and he needs to be influenced. We need to challenge him for the foolish things that he says. This is not throwing the election to Kamala Harris. That's foolish. It's foolish for you to be silent when he spits on you, and Trump has spit on us. Make no mistake about it. Okay, his statements on abortion are terrible. And he needs to hear that. He needs to know that he's not going to get our vote if he decides to be full pro-abortion. And if he decides to spit on the people who have supported him and defended him, and if he thinks that the issue of abortion is some side issue, the murder of little children is some side issue. No, it's not. You say, well, no, Trump has done more for the babies. Trump has done more for pro-life than anybody. He did in 4 years. He was the best president in my lifetime. And I was a big supporter of Trump in 2020. But what has he done since then? Listen. He condemned Arizona's law that was a ban on abortion from back in the 1800s. He condemned it when the Supreme Court of Arizona upheld it. He condemned it, called for its repeal. Then he went and criticized Ron DeSantis in Florida, saying that the 6-week ban down in Florida was too extreme. And he said he does not support a national ban, but 15 weeks is reasonable. 15 weeks, Donald Trump says, is the reasonable position on abortion. Listen, you can't get an abortion in liberal France past 12 weeks. Donald Trump's so-called reasonable pro-life position would be considered liberal in liberal France. Imagine if he took this position on the Second Amendment. Imagine if Trump said, you know what, I don't believe in a national affirmation of the right to bear arms. There's too much controversy. Let's just kick this back to the states. Not so many guns. Gun groups would be up in absolute arms. Are you kidding me? They would be slapping the mess out of this dude, and rightfully so. Look, he did talk stupid when he was president on bump stocks and on red flag laws as president. And the gun groups did slap the mess out of him when he was president, talking foolish about guns. And guess what? He shut his mouth and he stopped bringing up that nonsense. That's what needs to happen now. The foolish way he's talking about abortion, pro-life leaders need to get some backbone, and he needs to get the mess slapped out of him and his campaign staff. And the good news is that it just happened, and we actually have some good evidence of how this works. He opened his mouth about Amendment 4, the extreme late-term abortion amendment in Florida, just last week. And he said, well, I'm going to vote for more weeks. I'm going to vote for more weeks, basically implying, and news media outlets across the country say, Trump says he's voting yes on the Florida abortion amendment. And pro-life leaders, thankfully, including myself, said, what are you doing? You're not getting our vote. You are pro-abortion. That is evil. And guess what? All of a sudden, Trump's campaign the next morning started to have to, wait a minute, he didn't say he's voting yes. Hold the horses. And that afternoon, Trump came out within 24 hours and said, I'm voting no on the Florida amendment. I'm voting no. That's good. Praise God. That's what needs to happen. That's how you influence a politician. And make no mistake about it, Trump is in full politician mode right now. And there are more amendments for radical abortion that are going on in other states that he needs to condemn as well. Missouri, Arizona, and other states, he needs to speak out on them. Listen, it's important that you understand this. Trump is not winning moderates over to his positions. Moderates are winning Trump over to their positions. Do you understand that? That's not a win for us. Good leadership is when leaders can articulate persuasive reasoning and a compelling vision for their positions that wins undecided voters over to their position. That's what Trump needs to be doing right now. Casting his vision, making the arguments, and a strong pro-life position needs to be a part of that. Republicans are not losing on abortion because it's a losing issue. They're not losing on abortion because there's just, that much energy from the left. There's a lot of energy from the left. They're spending a lot of money, but Republicans are losing because they're running away from the battle and because they don't know how to articulate it. We need pro-life leaders, and we need Republican leaders, including you, Donald Trump, that can articulate persuasively the pro-life position and win those undecided voters over to our position. That we're not radical, we're not extreme, protecting little children, recognizing the value of little lives in the womb, recognizing what science tells us. What you open up an embryonic textbook tells you that that's a little baby, but every mother who is pregnant knows intuitively that she's carrying precious cargo. What the scripture affirms in every place that it talks about a baby in utero, it says with child, or speaks of the baby in the womb. We all know this. And we need good leaders who can articulate that persuasively and make the case for the humanity of the preborn children and why they need to be loved, valued, and protected in addition to their mothers. That strong men protect women. Strong men marry women, have children, and protect those children and sacrifice for them. That's what our culture is based upon. Good, godly, sacrificial men and strong, virtuous, nurturing women. Family, that's the foundation. And so we're far from there. So Trump is failing, as is Harris. Both Trump and Harris are displaying poor leadership, trying to trick moderates and trying to trick undecided voters into supporting them by appearing to be something that they are not. That's not good leadership. But this is all the fruit of a dumbed-down population. We live in a culture that does not think. People don't investigate truth claims. They don't explore ideas and their consequences. They don't properly vet candidates and their ideas. You need to do that. You need to be a thinker. You need to be thinking about this stuff. We are getting the kind of leadership that we deserve as a nation, regardless of who wins this election. Dishonest, shallow, and self-serving, because that is who we are. Make no mistake about it. And so whether you're going to vote for Trump or not, and I can understand both positions, and I'm not going to condemn either position. But this is the reality. We are in a moral and spiritual crisis in America. And the only solution is a long and painful one that will not be solved at the ballot box. And whether Trump wins or whether Kamala wins, the difference is not going to be as significant as you think. The real battle must be won in our local communities. We must focus and get our attention off the media barrage of news feeds, constant. Where's Trump? Where's Harris? What is Trump saying? What is Harris saying? Look, shut the television off. Yes, you need to have a thoughtful, understanding opinion on the matter and be able to articulate that. But look, do not be distracted by the hype nationally. The battle is local. We must address the moral and spiritual decline across institutions locally, the church and the family in your community, business and education in your community, and yes, politics, government, law, and policy in your community. That is where we have to rebuild. That is where you have to focus your energy. Do you know who your state representatives are? Do you know who your county and city officials are? Here's an assignment. If you don't know, find out who they are. Write them letters. Visit them. Meet with them. Find local pastors in your community and talk to them and find out what they're preaching from their pulpits and let them know and make the biblical case about why addressing these issues biblically from the pulpit is important. Get involved and dig into and invest in your local community. And of course, most important, ensure you have a strong family. Be a leader in your home. Guide your family spiritually. We have to fight to maintain strong marriages and to raise and disciple our children in these dark times. But get your focus local, in your local community, and build there. All right? God bless you.